All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am Michelle Berman-Mikel, your host. You guys already know me, but if you don't know this incredible woman that I'm about to interview, I am just so excited to finally have her on. Y'all, her schedule is crazy, so this is a humongous honor for us to have her here. But if you guys do not know who Cindy Ertman is, you are about to find out. But she is the CEO and founder of The Defining Difference, a success-based mortgage coaching and training company that is devoted to helping mortgage leaders master the power of bold and intentional choices to create a defining difference in both their life and their business. She's been acknowledged for a ton of things, but one of them is being the top 100 most influential mortgage execs in America. And she has also been named in the top 100 mortgage loan originators when she was originating. So this woman is a powerhouse. I am so incredibly honored to have her. Cindy and I became very fast friends at the end of 2022. I think that was 2022. And we have already done so much together and we're just getting started. But Cindy, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love being, you know what a fan I am of you, Michelle. So I'm a super fan. So really an honor to be here with you guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's definitely my pleasure. And I've been really excited about getting to do this episode with you. So for those people who maybe live under a rock and don't know who you are, could you tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into the mortgage industry, and then ultimately where the defining difference really came from?
Right, absolutely. So had a long-term career over 30 years in the mortgage industry. I'm here in Southern California and started working for a bank and then ultimately transitioned into the broker world. So I ran a brokerage company for 8 years, then transitioned into the mortgage banking world. And ultimately my partner and I, we had our own mortgage bank for many years that we ran. And then couldn't quite weather the storm in 2007 because we were a little baby mortgage bank. So we shut that down and decided to plug into a nationally known at the time mortgage bank. We plugged into a California-based mortgage bank and then grew Southern California for them over the next 10 years. So we grew from 1 to 20 branches. My partner and I were running our branch. We had a $1.2 billion branch. So we had a very large branch. I had 32 loan officers working for us and a lot of staff. And so we had a total of about 65 people for many years. And I was the top originator in the branch. And, my best year was just over 200 million, but, ran for many years in the 150 to 200 range. And so, but so much through the course of that, like became a faculty member of Loan Toolbox for those of you that have been around for a long time. And that was Tim Brahim's mortgage coaching and training company. And I was on the faculty there for 17 years, coaching, teaching, training under that brand as well, kind of my give back to the industry. And, as I went through my career, I would develop these strategies to build referral partnerships and I would go test them in the market. And if they worked, then I would roll them out to my branch because I led our sales meetings every month. And then if they worked, I'd roll them out nationally to Loan Toolbox. And so, I just got very keen and teaching became my jam, like helping people be successful and build and grow their business. And so I carried this little voice around in the back of my head for a long time going, how do I walk away from this thing that I love and I'm so passionate about to help more people? But eventually I just decided it was time. So 10 years ago, I very carefully and to protect everybody in the company, created a plan to step away and build my replacement team and started the Defining Difference, which has become one of the nation's top mortgage coaching and training companies. So I get to spend every single day, all day pouring into mortgage and real estate professionals to help them build and grow their business. So I feel very blessed to be able to live my passion every day.
I love it so much. And I have personally had the extreme honor of sitting in a room getting to listen to you talk about what you do and the passion you have for what you are giving back to the mortgage community. And mind numbing to think like that people don't know about this, but it is really crazy to me because sitting in that room, it oozes out of you. Like you are just so wildly passionate about serving every single individual person that comes into your network. And it was a true honor to be able to hear you actually play that out with those people. And I think that that's a big reason why this was a really important conversation that I wanted to have with you. And it's fun that we get to record it and share it. But There has been a lot of talk in the marketplace, and you and I both hear this all the time. And so I really want to start talking about the Instagram side of things from a very unique angle, because I think that you're an incredibly unique experience in the mortgage industry that most people don't even know about. And that's why I want to share this. But you had or you did an episode or a coaching training program, excuse me, not an episode, but where you were talking about 2024 and how huge 2024 is really going to be in theory for the mortgage industry. But if you back up and you think about, we're still in 2023, right? So we're not quite there to the point where we should be, quote, worried about 2024. However, we were talking about this offline of, we have a lot of people who we talk to who say, well, I have these really big teams, or I run this really big branch, or I have 15 loan officers that work for me. So why do I need social media? And why do I need to be on Instagram? And you actually told a little bit of an experience that you just recently had. So I would love it if you share and just kind of go whatever direction you feel like you want to, as to why does Instagram matter when we're talking about what is to come.
Well, as you know, I mean, look, and I coach a lot of top originators, and not many, but there's a handful that do not have a presence on social media. And I've had my own clients, who are very successful people, say to me, well, if I join your program, do I have to be on social media? Because I really do not have a big social media presence. And my answer to that is no, of course not. You don't have to. But I think you're going to find, particularly if you're part of my mastermind group and you see and hear what other people are doing and how it's impacting and influencing their business, I think you're going to make a decision personally that it's a really good choice for you to join that world. Because look, it's part of our world today. Like, we can't ignore it anymore. And I don't care who you are, but it is a relevancy issue. And I was just sharing with you, like, I checked 3 people out yesterday. The first thing I do is go to their Instagram profile, and I like go to their Facebook profile, and I want to see what they're posting. I want to see what they're all about. I want to see if they have family, and it's so telling when you go through somebody's feed. And like yesterday, I clicked on a potential new client and they had like 3 posts in the last year. I'm like, why would you even have an account, right? Like, if you're only going to do 3 posts, and it's not that hard. I mean, it's just not that hard. And I don't think you have to be, you don't have to be the person posting 12 times a day. But I really believe that people want to know who we are. And we're in a relationship business, Michelle, as you know. It's 100% relationship based to be successful in mortgage. Lots of different ways to build those relationships, and social is certainly one. But I think about today, how powerful it is to be able to build relationship on like an Instagram platform, to be able to communicate back and forth with people and start to build relationship. And I remember years ago, people used to say, oh, you can't build relationship on social. I'm like, you are crazy. I have built so many relationships on social media. When Facebook launched, I was on the faculty of Loan Toolbox, and I agreed to be a guinea pig. And everyone was afraid of it, right? It's like the first social media platform. Everyone's like, ah. And I said, hey, I'll just be I'll be the dumb idiot in the room. Let's just put me on. Like, I'll test the program. Like, I'll do whatever. I wanted to be an early adopter. So, I mean, I was like, the second it came out, I was learning real time, with a group of coaches. And so I got super comfortable early on with the ability to build relationship through social. And I just don't think there's any excuse anymore to fight it. I think it is it's not going anywhere. It's such a part of our culture at this point in time. So, and I will also, like, you and I talk about this a lot, like showing that personal side of you, because I still have a lot of clients that when I go to their posts, they're so either all business, or they're all like quote graphics, or they're not showing their true self. And for me, it's like, no, you want to let people get to know you. You want to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of Michelle, or behind the scenes of Cindy's life. And so I just don't take myself so seriously. I post my kids, I post my experiences, I post my travel, I post my business, and I just post my real life, because I don't have anything to hide. So, and to me, it's more, it's fun. I enjoy following people around. I wouldn't, my clients are all over the country. So I love what you do, and it's made a huge impact in our business for sure.
Yeah. And I think that this is a fun part of this conversation because you, much more so than me, but you have so many people in your network, right? So many people that you wish you could just go into a room and hug and say hi. And it's so good to see you. But the reality is like, that's impossible, right? We don't have time in our day to be able to do that. And so whenever I talk about this, I always use like the 100-person example. So like, let's say you made a list of your top 100 people in your life, right? Whether they're in your network, your business world, whatever. You made a list of those 100 people, and then you went and you saw one of those people every week. How many weeks would that take you, right? 100 weeks. And if you're talking about people all over the country, that's a lot of plane rides. That's a lot, right? But that 100 weeks is almost 2 years, which means by the time you get back to the top of the list, it's been 2 years since you saw the person at the top. And that's what Instagram does, right? That's what Facebook does. That's what this platform and these platforms in general gives us the opportunity to do, to stay very top of mind, to stay relevant. You use the word relevancy. I could not agree more. Like, to stay really relevant to people long before we get to see them in real life again. Right. I got to see you in March, and I don't know if I'll see you until next March. Right. Like, but that doesn't mean that our relationship isn't stronger than ever because of social, right? And if you think about how we've met, and maybe if you have a story, I'd love to hear it. Do you have a story of someone who you met through social, that you finally got to meet them in real life? And what was that experience like for you?
Oh, I mean, there's been several. And it's funny because one of the guys who's in my coaching program right now, Alan Christian, who you know very well,
Yep.
and Alan and I felt like we knew each other because of social media, and he's in Georgia and I'm in California. And so we followed each other around, right? Liked each other's stuff, and you feel like you've built a relationship. And then last year I was speaking in Florida, and he saw me, and I posted that on social. And so he sends me a DM and he goes, "Oh my gosh." He goes, "Okay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make my way to Florida because I can't believe in all these years I've never met you live and in person." But like, I felt like I met him. Like, I felt like I knew him. And so it was so fun when we finally got to give each other a hug and sit down and have a conversation. And then he ended up joining my high level mastermind group. So he's in that group right now. But like, it was just so fun to see someone live and in person that you feel like you already completely know. And it
Yep.
was great. But I have many examples of that.
Yeah. And I also think what you said too, if you think about it on the flip side, right? Like, for example, now that you've met Alan in real life, and that's just a very one of the bazillions of examples, right? And I have a very similar story to Alan, but mine's on the backside. So I met Alan in real life for the first time almost 3 years ago, the very first speaking engagement that I ever did, in my career, at a very small hotel in San Diego for a mortgage company. And I met Alan there. He was actually also one of the speakers. Afterwards, we said hello for about 5 minutes total, right? Between like the shaking of hands and like the buys, it was 5 minutes. And I didn't see him again for almost 3 years in real life, right? And I saw him again for the first time at your event this past March.
Right.
And not a single moment had gone by. Or sorry, how should I say this? It didn't feel like a single moment had gone by. It actually felt like our relationship was 10 times stronger because we had met in real life, and then we had 3 years of social interaction, before we finally saw each other again in real life. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that, right? Like, what happens afterwards when you meet someone in real life, getting to stay in touch with them on Instagram, or getting to stay in touch with them in your private messenger on Facebook, or even just to see a post that they put out, and to feel like you have something to contribute to that conversation, keeps you relevant, right? You see somebody post about they bought a new house. You see someone post they got a new dog, right? And you leave a comment, and you're still relevant to that person for years and years to come.
Thing that I think is so important is, like, I'm a very values driven person. I want to surround myself with people of, like-minded values. And so anyone who follows me around for any period of time is going to know that my family is everything to me. Like I'm a mom first. My kids are grown, right? But we have a big family celebration tomorrow for my son's birthday. And fortunately, even though I went through a divorce 10 years ago, I'm good friends with my ex-husband. So it's so great because we're always together as a family. And that is so important. And, when I think about you, perfect example, it is very clear to me without question how much you value your little guy and your husband. And because it's part of, you're sharing that part of your story on Instagram. And so it's a big deal to let people into that part of you because, it's one of my own quotes, but a couple of my famous friends always say it's like their favorite quote. It's like, you're going to be judged anyway. Like everybody judges everybody as part of the human experience. So why not be judged for who you really are? Right. Because then you're going to attract like-minded people into your world. And if you repel a few, that's okay because they're not your people anyway. So I'm very cautious about who's in my universe and what kind of energy is in my space because everything's about energy. And I want to bring my best self and my best energy forth every day to the people that I'm pouring into. And I want to surround myself with people that want to be better, that value things that I think are really important in life. So I love it when someone is sharing kids and family and pets. And, we all eat every day. Like it's funny how much flair you get from like posting what you're cooking or because that's part of real life, it's an experience. And so I think that's really I don't know, to me, it's the good part of social is like being able to share shared experiences. Like I went to Bali a few years ago with Sue Woodard, and Sue's a very well-known, name in the mortgage industry.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Bali for 2 weeks and we posted so many pictures each day of our trip and our progression. And I had so many people saying, "Oh my gosh, I felt like I went to Bali. I was on that experience with you," and it's fun. That's why I think it's so important to just share who you really are, because I think it helps you build your network. I think it helps create a lot of influence. I think then people like gravitate towards you. And I've got a couple clients that, Michelle, that fought doing video,
Oh yeah.
that fought social media, fought a social presence, that finally 2 to 3 years ago said, all right, I'm over myself. I know I have to do this. I hate it, but I'm going to jump in. And now they're able to get appointments. Like if they're a lender, they're able to get appointments with any realtor in their network because they're so known as being an expert in their marketplace. And that's a powerful, powerful marketing tool.
I honestly don't understand. And maybe I need to have someone on the podcast, or maybe I just need to get on Zoom with someone and ask them how they actually think they can grow their business without it. And I don't mean by like, I understand there's cold calling. I understand there's in-person events. You and I both know that the grassroots aspect is not dead. It certainly lives on. Email marketing is not going away. There's all these other avenues, but I don't understand how anyone could say a social presence is going to hurt my ability to grow, right? Or is going to hurt my ability to stay connected, right? I would really love to have that conversation with someone because it's what you just described for the past few minutes is so powerful. And I'm actually like the word relevancy just really keeps coming back to my mind because when it comes to something new that's happening, right? Like let's say you have a new coaching program coming out. Let's say you have a new book that you're writing or whatever it is. Are you relevant enough to be able to share that? And I think that that's what social allows us to do. People are on this journey with you, right? They're really following along your life. They're watching your career evolve. And Alan, we'll go back to using him as an example. But when I saw him at your event in March, the very first thing out of his mouth was that he was so proud of me. He was like, I've been watching you. I've been watching what you've been doing for the last 3 years. I haven't seen him in 3 years. And that was the first thing that came out of his mouth is, I've been watching you. I'm so proud of you. Right. And so that's somebody who, whether he becomes a client ever or not, I'm still relevant, right, to him. And being on that journey with someone and being able to follow along with their journey. And I know your coaching program is incredible. And I've literally gotten to witness it. And so anytime you have something that is like that, that's new, what happens if you're not relevant? At what point do you like have to go back to relying on cold calling or the grassroots mechanism and trust that you have what it takes, I guess, still, right?
Well, look, I firmly believe, I did a lot of marketing. Marketing was, when I was an originator, was one of my favorite parts of the business because marketing is actually fun and it's about growth and it's a positive thing. Look, rates might be higher right now, right? Not so positive, but marketing, you can always have a great marketing conversation. And I used marketing as a tool to get in front of my realtor partners on a regular basis because I have a training called connection to conversion or connection to referral partner conversion. Mm-hmm. And it's all about the way to conduct a meeting with a potential referral partner that is all about their future growth, not about what I can do, not about how great Cindy Ertman is as a lender, or how great my products, pricing, service, all that stuff. It's all about you. And it's the way I built my business, is just making it about them. How can I help you be more successful in your business? And can we get together? And I used to say, and so any of you that are mortgage professionals and even realtors can use this in their own realm for sure. But, hey, I'd love to get together with you, Mr. Realtor, for, a 30-minute meeting to talk about you and what you're doing to market your business, because I believe that we have a massive opportunity in this market to create a greater influence in our marketplace. And I'd like to see what you're doing to market your business, to see if I can help give you any tools, ideas of things that might help you elevate your game and expand your business. Would you be open to that? And they're always so curious to hear what you have to say, because it's about them and their growth. And when I finished conducting that meeting, 100% of the time, I even conducted it because I have a past team that took over my business. So I still meet with realtors from time to time just because I love it. And so I had a meeting about 3 months ago with this gal on Zoom. We did it. We didn't do it live. And when I finished my connection to referral partner conversion training, she said, "Oh my gosh, like this is flipping amazing. When can we do this again?" And she's a newer realtor, but I mean, she was so excited. We got off the phone. When can we do this again? Because it was about her. You don't have to be a marketing expert, but to be able to so it's like basically 12 marketing questions to ask your referral partner. And it opens up a bigger conversation about what they're doing, what's working, what's not working in the marketplace for you. What do you want to be doing that you're not doing currently? So it's just opening up. The whole point of the meeting is connection. That's really the point of the meeting. We're using marketing as a vehicle to do that. But it's a fun conversation. And when they talk about they're not doing what they need to do on social, they're not doing enough video, then you get into, well, what's holding you back? And she said, I used to do a lot more video. Then I got pregnant. Then I gained weight. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I just hate it. And I said, well, this is my real words. I said, what if I came over to your house? Because she's a local realtor. And I can brainstorm 10 topics for 1-minute videos. And I'll record you doing, 10 1-minute videos. And she goes, I would be so embarrassed. I go, why? You can do it with me too. We'll do it for each other. But she's like, but see, that's a generous offer to give to somebody. And she didn't take me up on it, but she was so touched that I would be willing to do that for her. So, but see, marketing, that's why I love, and social is a part of that. And so I think it's about, I used to do lunch and learns on social media for my realtor partners. And I remember having a few guys saying, and they were guys actually saying, I don't want to come because I don't do social media. I go, that's exactly why you need to be there. And once they'd leave the room, they'd be like, okay, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I need to jump on this bandwagon.
Yeah.
So it's fun to convert people.
It totally is. And I think, speaking of convert, I think that's a perfect segue. Good choice of word. But I think it's a great conversation to lead into. We started working together back in early January. And one of the questions I asked you, and your transparency over the last few months has been very eye-opening for me in so many ways, in 97% of them good. But when I reach out to you about what we do for a living, right after I got connected to you, my question to you was, Cindy, are you waking up to a multitude of messages in your DMs every day of conversations that need to be continued? And I remember very quickly, you immediately responded to me saying no, right? You're like, no, like one or two. And will you just talk to me about like what that transformation has looked like for you when you started to first of all, understand that that was a problem, right? And I think you did an amazing job of like recognizing that that was a hole in your game. And then looking at where you're at now.
But
Call it 6 months later.
I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a hole in my game, like, and so that's where you educated me on that. And I'm a quick study, but I was like,
yeah.
And yes, of course, when you asked me the question, the answer was no. And then when you said, okay, we're about to change that, I didn't really believe you. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm just this 33-year-old. It's fine. I'm just young.
But I got more than I bargained for. Let's put it that way. And I was just like, I was floored. And I actually pulled numbers yesterday. Yes, I have my trusted numbers right in front of me here.
Oh my gosh,
and
I love this.
We have grown. So we started with you beginning of, I think it was early January. And so in just the last few months, we've grown by 1,000 followers, just over 1,000, about 1,100. And you think about that. We track our numbers on social media every month just to see if we're growing. And we had started doing it long before I started working with you. But the reality is like, how come we're not growing? How come we weren't losing people, but we weren't growing a following? And to me, what you have done and what has helped us create is a much bigger network of influence, creating, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday, there was a message sent to a woman that was in one of my programs a couple of years ago. And there's something about her energy. Like she resonated with me a lot. Like I really liked her. And I haven't connected with her in a long time. And so you guys reached out to her and started the conversation. And then her response was, you've just completely made my day to hear from you. And so then I jumped on with her and started going back and forth. And we have this really beautiful conversation about the challenges that she's facing in today's market, trying to keep her team employed and how hard that's been to generate enough business to not lose her team members who she values so much. But we had a really meaningful conversation. And she's not in a place right now where coaching is an option. But I'll tell you, it was very clear. She thanked me over and over for reaching out to her and connecting with her and told me how much that meant to her. And that I'm on her kind of like bucket list for people she wants to be able to coach with when she gets there. And that made my freaking day. I was so happy because she's somebody that I really think is amazing. And I think I can see her growth in front of my own eyes. So that was just yesterday. That was a very cool connection.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful side to this, right? Is creating connections like that. That's what we have to be doing every single day. Right. And so part of the strategy of really what I've been able to sort of curate over the years is giving you the ability to leverage your influence, right? Truly, that's what we're doing, right? Is you have this influence. Everybody knows hopefully who you are and what you're doing and the connections that you're making, but more importantly, the difference that you're making, right? Like the difference you're making in people's businesses is what we're quote leveraging. But all we're doing is talking to people, and those connections are rooted, or those conversations, are rooted in connection, right? So how did we end up starting a conversation with her? Because you're connected to her. She's on your follower list, right? Maybe she saw a story that you posted. Maybe she commented on something, right? Because we leverage that. We look at those different details and we study that and we say, okay, this person's liked the last 5 pieces of content that Cindy's posted, right? We need to have a conversation with her. And so she gets added to the list, right? And luckily I have a very large team that helps me do all of this, because I can't imagine having to do all of it on my own anymore. Thank the Lord for that. But data is everything, right? Like understanding what you have. And if you look at 1,100 followers, right? I'm not a big person where I look at that and I say, oh my God, you have so many followers, yay. But what that does tell me is that those 1,100 people are bought into you, right? And 1,100 people over a short period of time, most people may never even get that in their entire career, right? And it's not bought, it's not paid for, it's not because you're spending money on Instagram ads. It's because you're creating conversation. And so what happens is the people that are doing that, the people that are following you, the people that are staying connected to you are people that want to be, because we either engaged with them, or there was a conversation that was continued by you that made that person essentially super glued to want to be in your network, right?
Yeah. And, Michelle, I think there's something really important for people to really pay attention to, because I bet it's like 3 times a week somebody reaches out to me by email telling me what they can do for my Instagram account. And this is where you have to be so careful, because it's really easy to get caught up in someone going, I can get you 20,000 new followers. They're a dime a dozen. And I hired a company many, many years ago. And it was kind of funny because even though I was in the mortgage industry, I have a lot of personal development background and experience. And so I became a co-host of a conscious television show for women called Wake Up TV. And so we did a lot of promotion around that show because we had to kind of basically grow our own audience organically. So I got referred to the social media company, and next thing I know, I have like 20,000 followers on like Facebook, but they're not real people, like bots are going around and doing this. And it happened on Instagram too. And then I spent months and months and months undoing like fake people that just really hurts everything about your social media platform. So don't buy into that. This is not a quick buy your connection strategies, because it's easy to fall prey to that. And that's why I love the way that you do it. You are doing it through a reach out and a connection program. And in talking to Liz, who's my marketing assistant, yesterday, and we were talking about you and what you do, and she goes, we get so many messages of appreciation that you've recognized people, because people want to be recognized and want to be acknowledged, and to just stop by and say hello, and how are you finding the market, and what are your biggest challenges this year, and what do you want in terms of growth for your future, and what goals do you have. People are like, they're not used to even being asked those questions, and it makes a big difference. And so we've really loved the way people respond, and yeah, every once in a while you get the wackadoodle, but for the most part, people really, really appreciated being acknowledged and reached out to and connected to. And so I really want people, it's like when I'm training a loan officer on a reach out program for realtors, they're like, oh, no realtor wants to talk to me. They're being barraged from lenders. It's like, well, if you're creating value, that's just not true. Like, be in service to other people. We're in a sales industry, but everything changed for me when I really woke up going, like, who do I want to be in service to today? It's a different energy. And so calling a realtor partner or a financial planner, a CPA, or anyone that I wanted to do business with is about like, how can I help you? What do you need? How can I help you grow? What can I do to support you and your business? It was all about them. And from that, more relationships were birthed. Mm-hmm. And you know me pretty well at this point, Michelle. Everything about me that's my fuel is learning about other people, learning their story, learning about their business. And if you look at social media as a way to expand your influence in the marketplace by connecting with more people and being in service to more people, you're doing them a really big service in knowing you, because we all have very generous gifts, and this gives us a much wider audience to be able to reach in our marketplace. And I can't recommend it enough, because I knew when I met you that you were the real deal, and you're as passionate about what you do as I am about what I do. And so that's our genuine connection point, is this passion for what we do and this passion for helping people grow. We just use different vehicles, right? But totally. I'm a big fan, as you know, of what you do and the influence you've created in your business, and certainly for our team.
Well, and I think the number one thing, and you and I both have been through stuff in our life. And I just want to get like super raw for a moment, right? And I think that that's a superpower of both of ours as well. But we've been through some stuff in our life, personally, professionally, obviously, but definitely on the personal side. And what happens there is, you feel very alone in that process, right? And or kind of as you're walking through that. And I think one of the things about social that I think doesn't get talked about enough is that we want to be felt, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be able to have this kind of ability or safe place to share that. And I'll never forget when I talked about my postpartum depression for the very first time on social media, thinking like the whole world was going to be like, oh my gosh, Michelle is this like super strong, like powerful female that she's crying. What is Michelle okay? Like, you know, but the reality is that makes us feel felt, like, and heard and seen and loved, right? But what is really important about what you were saying before that is when you tie all of those things in and you actually get personal, like we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, right? Sharing the personal content, sharing things that make you outside of what we do for a living. When you're willing to do that, it gives everybody else kind of the okay to be vulnerable with you and to open up. And then when you're on the flip side of that and you're sending messages, giving people the space and holding space for people to be able to share what really is struggling or what they are really struggling with in their business. Right. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with their business. Maybe they're just struggling in their marriage or they're struggling in their life with their kids. I talked to a client the other day who told me that she hasn't talked to her daughter in 3 years because her daughter doesn't want anything to do with her. A client of mine that felt compelled to share that with me, right? Because she felt like she could with the relationship that her and I have. And when you tie all that into social media, what happens is our influence is scalable, right? We can affect positively more and more and more people in the same amount of time.
Well, it just makes you so much more relatable because look, I mean, it's easy. And I get it. We all get to different stages of our life at different times. It's easy to get caught up in, well, how am I going to be viewed if I do that? Or if I don't post the perfect picture and look, we all want to look good on social, but I'm kind of over the perfection thing. Took me a bit because finally you're just like, someone said, is it okay if I post this? And I go, I look terrible. I'm like, yes, it's okay if you post it. I don't really care because I do think people, like some of my clients, one of my clients a few months ago posted a video of her at like 5 a.m. She'd just gotten in the car. She was going to the gym. She had no makeup on. She had her hair flying everywhere on the top of her head. And I just thought she got so much traction from that video because it wasn't looking like this, right? It was just like, here I am, I'm going to the gym. Like, I don't look forward to it each and every day, but it makes me feel so good. And I know I need to do this for my body and mind. How do you start your day kind of thing? But she got so much traction because it was so real. And we don't wake up with makeup on and our hair done and right. Like, it's just not reality. And so I think it's fun to show sometimes like your real life and what's behind the curtain, because I think then people feel like they're really getting to know a part of you. And when you shared that story, because so many people go through that, Michelle, and so it makes all these other people be able to go, I went through that, I went through that, I went through that. And now that you are so much more relatable to them because, you know, you gave them permission to say, I did too, you know, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And life is not a bed of roses. Like none of us, you know, we're given joy and, you know, we're given all of it. And so we all have our seasons. And this is a rough season for many people. This market has been a very rough emotional season for many people. And I think just below the surface, there is a lot of pain, a lot of fear because with interest rates going up and inventory being so tight and real estate kind of impacts everything, right? Our whole economy. And so it's a season where the more we can be human, the more we can pour into other people, the more we can offer our services, the more we can offer support to help. What can I do for you? How can I be of service to you? And And it's my way out of a bad day. I just think if I'm having a kind of an off day, I'll be like, who can I help today? I got to help 3 extra people today. And that just snaps me right out of it.
Well, and it's cup filling. And I think that I have a saying in my team, and they know this, that my goal as a company is to serve 365 people a year, because that's one person per day. I know I can commit to one person per day. And when you do that 365 days out of the year, that is a crop ton of people that you can positively impact. And you times that by however many years you're going to be in the industry. And when I die someday, it's like, that's what I want people to know, right? Is that I fought so hard every day to change someone's life and to change their business for the better. And you have just created a path for me to feel very confident in walking that, because you're already doing it. You were doing it and gave me permission to continue to do it, right? By watching you do it yourself. So Cindy, I know you have a big thing coming up. And I really, really want everybody to take a moment and listen to what Cindy's going to share with you guys, because if you're not dialed into Cindy's program, maybe you don't even think you need help in your mortgage business. Maybe you just need the accountability of somewhere to show up. But I really want you to, Cindy, to share what you have coming up and how people can get dialed into it, and really just what it is.
Right. So in September, we run a 12-month program called Mortgage Mastermind Elite. It's my highest level program. We take 16 people in for a 12-month program. And it really is the program that I pour my own heart and soul into. It takes a lot of time, energy, and fuel, but it is my passion. And it has attracted a really incredible group of like-minded people. We have built a really beautiful community over the last 10 years of launching this program. So we start September 13th. It really is for more seasoned mortgage professionals. It's not just, we do get top producers in the program for sure, but it's not really about production. It's about, my criteria is that you've been in the business for, it's not for newbies. So I just want to make sure you're an experienced loan officer. And we want to make sure that you're committed to growth and collaboration. So we have met people, it's not a one size fits all program. It really is tailored to you and what you need and how you want to grow. And like, I had a woman in my program last year and she goes, you do not need to teach me how to build realtor partnerships. I've got more loans. She was a $180 million a year producer. She said, I need a life. I need to get my systems dialed in. I need to empower my team. I need to get out of my files. I'm not spending time with my husband. I'm not spending time with my children. So that became our focal point with her, and keeping her accountable to continue to take steps to turn it over to the beautiful team that she's built. During the course of our year together, she bought 2 second homes, not one, but 2. And now I think she's in Europe right now on vacation, but she really did learn to have a life, and she runs a very successful business. And we've had other people whose business really just something happened and the business fell off a cliff and they're at 20 million going, how do I get back to 50? Because what I'm doing isn't working. I've had people reach out. We have 3 people in the program that have been in the business over 40 years going, okay, what I was doing no longer works. I need new tools in my tool chest. And then we have the younger people that are like, hey, I need accountability. I need direction. I want to learn from somebody that's created that level of success. I want to build my branch. I want to learn how to recruit. But it's all about growth. It's a very positive conversation that we're all in, we're together. So if you have any interest in learning more about that, we have a private coaching platform as well. I have 15 amazing coaches that coach for me. So we have a private coaching platform if that feels like it would be a better fit. And then we have my Millionaire Mortgage Club, which is my all group program. Very inexpensive. It's $97 to try us out for Millionaire Mortgage Club. It's 2 trainings a month and 1 office hours call where I laser coach you. And so there's many different ways to learn how to work with us. But if you want to learn more, probably the best way is to go to cindyertman.com, my website, or the definingdifference.com. They go to the same place. And right up at the top, it says schedule your strategy call. And my team and I do many of the calls as well, but we love having those calls to really determine what you need in your business, what you're seeking, what your challenges are. And then we can help you make a decision about a program that would be right for you. So as I think you can all tell, like, helping people grow is my passion. And I get so excited when I start to see my clients had a call last week from one of my current clients in my current mortgage mastermind elite. And he's like, Cindy, since I started your program, like everything's changed. He goes, I've got probably 10 new referral partners that I didn't have before. My systems are way more dialed in. Now we have a process for, kind of wow client experience. They actually built out a process around creating a more impactful experience to generate more referrals. And his business, even though it's a tough market, is elevated quite a bit. And now he's ready to grow his branch. So that's super exciting. And I had a guy in Texas a couple of years ago. He went from 38 million to 58 million to 132 million in
Oh my gosh.
2 years time. He was in my program for 2 years, and that year served 579 families. Even in 2022, he served over 500 families, and that was one of our toughest markets. So it gives you tools that kind of keep on giving. So I always say with coaching, people get, it's expensive. Well, you know what? I pay a fortune to my coach.
Yeah.
And
I hate that phrase. I'm sorry.
It's an investment in your future wealth, your health, your well-being, your future success. And it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. So I do believe in coaching. That I think everybody in mortgage and real estate needs a coach, because you'll make bolder choices with some accountability and some support around you. So I'm clearly a huge fan, which is why I launched a coaching company. So thank you.
I think the question that I'll leave everybody with is, how potent is your message, right? Like what is the message you're sharing? Is it connecting with people? Is it making a difference? Is it getting through the noise? And I think that that's what you do so brilliantly, Cindy, is help people get through all the noise. And also I just felt like I needed to say this, but like, can you put a price tag on your sanity? Can you put a price tag on saving your marriage? Can you put a price tag on having more time with your kids, like what that would look like for you? Like, I don't think so. And I know for me personally, we've spent an astronomical amount of money on coaching for my team, and the amount of time it's given me back in my own life as the CEO. And there's no money I wouldn't have paid, put it that way. Right. To have that. So also, if you guys want to connect with Cindy, I will put her Instagram and of course her Facebook on or in the show notes underneath this. So feel free to connect with her in any really of the places that I share with you. And then also, if you guys want to be part of the program, and if you want to talk to me before you reach out to Cindy, I'm more than happy to do so. But for those of you guys who are listening to this and have gotten all the way through this episode with us, we love you and we appreciate you. And we're here to serve you guys however we can. And I know Cindy will take incredible care of you if you decide to join this program with her starting in September. So guys, thank you for another episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. Cindy, you're incredible. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Michelle. Your employee is incredible. And I can't thank you enough for all that you've done for my business and to help us expand our own influence, and what a gift you are in my life. So thank you.
I appreciate you so much. And guys, go listen to this episode 6 times if you need something to do while you're driving. It's that good. But we'll see you guys in the next episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast.
Bye, guys.